Nerd Academy podcast is released weekly at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, available on our website at www.thenerdacademypodcast.com and wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You can also help support the show by going to patreon.com/The Nerd Academy podcast, where every donation allows us to bring you more exciting content every week.
Good morning, class, and welcome back to the Nerd Academy podcast, your source for nerddom news and commentary. I'm your host and superior web headmaster, Jarod Bachman Stubbs. Go check out the Across the Spider-Verse trailer reaction to hear me squeal like a small child when I saw my boy in that trailer. Blink and you miss it, but he's in there. We are here to talk about Phase 4 of the MCU, kind of do a little retrospective, talk about our favorite projects, talk about the conversations had around it, and look forward to the future. And I'm very excited to talk about it. I love doing like year-end kind of recappy type stuff like this. But of course, I am not alone. I am joined by my lovely co-host, your resident Green Lantern, and one of Moon Knight's many personalities, Travis Grossman.
I feel bad for him if I'm one of his personalities. I have like comparatively no useful skills.
That's not true. That's not true at all.
I can drink a whole 24-pack of Mountain Dew in a day and have working kidneys afterwards. So like
I see superpower. I would even go so far as to say I think you're an inhuman for that one.
I'll take it.
I won't call you a mutant because using that word willy-nilly upsets our very special guest. We have Mitch from the ComicBookCast.
I was just thinking that being able to drink that much Mountain Dew in a day is 100% more than what Stephen Grant started out with. So,
yes. Also,
always a
speaking of
plus.
Moon Knight and Mitch,
Base money, fancy clothes, ops and coppers I dispose. Talk slow, lower your tone if you need an illegal loan. Gang.
I haven't played that in a minute.
I'm sad TikTok hasn't shown me that yet. I fell to the dark side on TikTok. I downloaded it a couple of weeks ago. And I'm waiting for
enjoy
that
it
to
while
show
Travis
up,
and I can be on there because apparently they're introducing legislation to ban it in the States again.
Again? Wow.
Yeah, Trump couldn't get it done. But
So I keep seeing that headline followed by they're trying to ban it off government devices.
see, a lot of the discourse I keep seeing just kind of begins and ends with the data risks are bad, even though they're identical to the data that's being extracted by any other social media site.
Yeah, that's
American Capital just wants to American Capital.
Yeah, the one bill I saw did actually, I think it was in Texas, specified like phones issued for government jobs can't have it on there, which they shouldn't have any social media on there. That just makes sense.
Yeah, and you work for the government, so you should have.
I don't even like the government, and I'm like, be smart about it.
Yeah,
Come on, man.
yeah, exactly. But Travis, you and I know too much about the Cold War era FBI and CIA to know that they're ever smart about it.
That's true.
MK Ultra, funniest thing that's ever happened, and the worst thing that's ever happened to a handful of people. But like I said, we're here to talk Phase 4. But before we do that, a brief word from our lovely sponsors at Sunday's Bloody Mary. You guys know the drill by now. Sunday's Bloody Mary is the one-stop shop for the most badass Bloody Mary accoutrement in the multiverse. They have their 2-time award-winning spicy Caesar mix, my personal favorite. They also have their mild mix and their traditional mix, the latter of which is vegan-friendly. They also have some really badass garnishes like their pickled asparagus, dilly beans, and okra, as well as some rim salt if you want to salt that rim. They also have a nice little holiday bundle floating around right now, as well as their really cute merch. Got to get me that little tomato heart hat. It's so goddamn cute. But go to sundaysbloodymary.com/shop. Use code TNAP, TNAP, at checkout. You get 10% off your order, and you help out your favorite nerds while you do it. So, Phase 4. There's a lot. I mean, Phase 3, I think, Phase 3, obviously, by volume, is the longest phase. Like, it has the most movies.
No, Phase 4 is longest, isn't it?
Yeah. Phase 4's got
Oh.
TV.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I was thinking just movies for a second there. No, but you're absolutely right. Yeah, you would be right. But
I think it's like double or something
yeah,
stupid like that.
yeah, you would. Yeah, because the TV absolutely pushes it over. Yeah, I wasn't thinking about that. It's been a lot, and I think I've never been the type of person who has ever agreed with the whole MCU is the same or feels the same. I've never agreed or put much stock in that opinion because I think it's just factually inaccurate. However, I don't think it would be unreasonable to say that the content of Phase 4 is so wildly varied from show to movie that I think this is undoubtedly our most dynamic phase of the MCU.
Mm-hmm. I mean, even just right off the bat, right, between WandaVision and Falcon, that you couldn't get any more polar opposites to those two.
Exactly, yeah, and especially because so much of it was dominated by TV as well. You know, like we had such a culture shock where we got through like 2.5 shows before we got Black Widow, or maybe 2 shows before we got Black Widow. Because we got Falcon and
3.
WandaVision.
So I can't remember if Loki came out or if it's finished or not.
I think Loki was out,
Oh,
but
right,
it wasn't wrapped up yet.
I saw Black Widow way later than I should have. I forgot. Because I watched Black Widow as Hawkeye was ending. And so in my brain, I'm like, oh, no, all 4 of them were out that year. But
okay,
that
so
is not
Loki
the
came
case.
out June 9, so that was about a month after Black Widow came out, correct? Or was Black Widow in June? Movie release
Black Widow is
date.
9th of July.
It was in July?
None of the graphics I can find. None of the graphics I can find for Phase 4 are like actually accurate, but this is the closest one I've got. But it still has Guardians Volume 3, Blade, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and Fantastic Four listed.
Yeah, because some of those are going to be pushed back just a little bit.
And the Marvels.
Oh. But yeah, no, so yeah, we were like 3 TV shows deep before we even touched a movie at the beginning of Phase 4. Which I think is crazy to think about in hindsight. But yeah, and in those 3 shows, we get the super fun genre bending like puree smoothie of all these different themes and ideas and genre in WandaVision. We get a pretty straightforward political thriller in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and then we get this really kick-ass time travel epic in Loki. And then that's all leading into getting another like fun spy thriller movie in Black Widow. We get the super heady and incredibly underrated Eternals.
You forgot Shang-Chi.
Yeah, I forget the order those came out in. I always think it's Eternals.
I think it was supposed to be Eternals, then Shang-Chi, but then it came out as Shang-Chi, then Eternals.
Around.
Yeah, okay. So then we get the super kick-ass martial arts fantasy. And then the super heady concept with sci-fi thing with Eternals. And we get Hawkeye, and we get Spider-Man. Like there was so much varied in tone and in concept within the very beginnings of Phase 4. And that was just within the 1 year, you know? You go into 2022, and then you're going everywhere from Moon Knight to Ms. Marvel to She-Hulk. Pardon me.
Yeah, it's funny because in terms of like length of content, this is the biggest, but in time past as it came out, it's the shortest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
got,
And that's
double,
what I was.
We got double the content in half the time.
I had to make up for the fact that we got nothing in 2020, I guess.
Yeah, that definitely hindered them. That definitely
Yeah.
it.
You can still feel it
definitely-
now in some stuff, especially the shows. You can really feel it.
Yeah. That's a lot to fit onto one onto 2 calendar years. But again, the thing that I love so much about Phase 4 of the MCU, and I've been saying this multiple times coming into Phase 4, is that if the Infinity Saga and Phase 3 captured the status quo that we're normally dealt in Marvel Comics, and like how that status quo always comes to fruition with a big team up with all the Avengers and da-da-da-da-da, Phase 4 might be the most comic book feely phase thus far, because everybody's scattered to the wind, everybody's doing their own thing. There's all this weird status quo stuff, like Sam is Captain America now, and what's going on with the Eternals, and it feels super comic booky, and it makes me super happy. Because everything just feels so scattered to the wind, and like any given comic book slate, everything feels different despite feeling super lived in and interconnected. And I think it's one of the unsung feats of Phase 4 that we have so much it's like it's this weird paradox of like it feels very homogeneous in the fact that it's all connected and we know how it connects, but they still feel so unique to each other. So that said, Mitch, start with you. Favorite projects of Phase 4?
Oh man. Just one or multiple?
Multiple. Whatever feels
That's
right.
I've got to put WandaVision on there. I don't know if it's my favorite though, which is hard for me to say.
It's surprising to hear, that's to say the least.
I know, right? Like, who'd have thought a year ago I'd be saying that? I mean, WandaVision, Eternals. I'm trying to keep it to a top 3, and it's a toss up between Wakanda Forever and No Way Home.
If you got a top 5 in, I think that though I will allow it. Travis may get angry,
But then I got to think of a 5th.
Top 4 is
just making it harder.
Top 5, we invade.
You'd say we
invade. Wakanda Forever, No Way Home, and let's make it a 5. I'll put She-Hulk up there because that surprised me.
All right.
So I had that nowhere on my list. And then
okay, I dig that. Do you want to expand
There's
upon
5,
that
so now you
list
can
at all?
invade. I mean, I got prepared for an invasion, right? I can't expand on nothing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Travis, you're top 5 for the. I mean, again, whatever feels right.
The Spider-Man
We're
No Way
loosey-goosey
Home,
here.
Spider-Man No Way Home, Spider-Man No Way Home, Spider-Man No Way Home. Spider-Man.
I'll give you the top 3 spots for each different Spider-Man. That's about it.
Yeah. And one more for Ned. I think
Fair.
favorite show is probably She-Hulk. I really enjoyed it. I liked that they didn't rush it. I liked all the jokes. They made me chuckle a lot. I liked Jen as a character. I liked all the characters in the show. Actually, I just thought it was really fun, and I like fun things. Even if our comic books,
I've just noticed my top 5 is really depressing. Yeah. I know a lot of Phase 4 is very much dealing with loss and coping and moving forward and whatnot.
Like,
It's just
oh
that
right,
might-
a lot of people died.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, we lost a lot of people.
Surprising amount.
But we've got
trying to think
Daredevil
of-
back, so it's all fine. No.
Yeah, for sure. Even trade. I also really like Shang-Chi. And I think like maybe Shang-Chi and Moon Knight are tied in terms of number 3, and then everything else just kind of swims in the pool of I enjoyed it. Black Panther was really good, although I need to see it again because my theater experience, as I mentioned last episode, was not good.
You mentioned it. I don't think you've
Oh,
told
you
that
as
story
well?
on air.
Man.
Yeah, so we went on the Saturday. Like we didn't even go opening night because I was like, we're trying to dodge people here. And we were like 3/4 of the way up, prime time seating. And at the very top row was about 10 teenage boys from like 12 to 15, roughly. And when I say their conversation didn't break for the entire movie, there was not a
Wow.
single, there was not a
Mm.
single moment of silence in that theater. And I cannot stress enough how literal I mean that. Like I've never gotten theater staff to kick someone out before. I went and got theater staff to be like, hey, these kids will not shut up. We've asked them. It's been 2 hours. Please. I just want to watch this goddamn movie.
I had a similar thing as well, but they were literally right next to me for that movie. And I've
They
never I've never told someone just to shut up. And the first time I've done it is for that movie, and the fear of God was in this kid's face. And it's like, you make one more sound, mate, you're getting headbutted. Like, not even exaggerating. I will just lean over and go bang.
They were
then it
like
was
7
quiet.
rows up from
It was
us. And we could hear every single word of their conversation.
Mm.
When I left the theater to go get somebody, I was at the bottom of the steps. I could still hear them talk. Like, hold on, every word. It was ridiculous.
I can't stand people doing that. So what's the point in going and see the movie if you're going to talk through it? No.
I mean, you got to figure those are the same people who are probably Soups fans anyway.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't go to see a movie. They went for the slideshow of images.
Oh.
They didn't even get that. I guarantee that their eyes were not on that movie once. Like, just
that is maddening. That is maddening. I could never imagine. Like, and I get self-conscious about like having like actual reactions in the movie theater, like opening night, like everybody's like clapping and shit type moments. I cannot relate to just talking the whole way through it. Like, that's maddening. It's time for a brickin' for all those kids. But yeah, I think from my top 5, in no particular order, it's got to be Loki. Absolutely love Loki. Got to be Wakanda Forever. I thankfully did not have theater experience as bad as Travis's or yours, Mitch. I did not have a very busy viewing. I normally just because like I work Thursday nights, so I try to shoot for like that 8:30, 9:30 showing because I get out of work, or 8:30 or 9 showing. As I get out of work at 7:30, and that gives me enough time to, get there and not rush and miss anything. So my showing was pretty was pretty low key. So we got to have like a very intimate screening, which was good because that meant that like under the music you could hear me just during the credits. But yeah, Loki, Wakanda Forever, She-Hulk again. I'm coming in very hard on that tip with all of you guys. It was super funny. It was super fun. Very funny.
But it wasn't a legal drama like they promised us. Never.
I have very few critiques of She-Hulk. One of them is that I hope for a more linear story in the next season. Like I really, really am kind of hoping that there is just one season-long court case.
See, I love how much it bounced around.
Same.
Like that's what kept it light. It didn't feel too bogged down, and like kind of the point was that, like at the end when they had to bring it all together and it didn't work, like that was the bit.
Yeah,
which I loved, and like obviously like, that's not going to work twice. You can't pull that off twice. But I think using that to set the stage for She-Hulk stuff isn't going to be 6 episodes setting up to a big bad and her coming through adversity to beat them. Like it's just going to be She-Hulk being She-Hulk for however long they film it.
It also helps set it apart, right? Like everything else has like the one standard way of doing a plot, where She-Hulk is more of a sitcom-y way of doing everything, which admittedly worked against it because some people were like, "Oh, what's the plot in She-Hulk?" It's like, watch the damn thing, you'll find out in the end. It's clearly got a through line of everything, but
yeah, and that's very true, and it is something I admired that it did. Like a lot of stuff in Phase 4, WandaVision especially played with format and played with genre. And I really did enjoy that element of it. And this is just because like I love legal bullshit like that. I want like that, like that's one of my few critiques. Like not even that it wasn't a legal drama. It was just that like the lawyering of She-Hulk was kind of nonsensical. And after seeing how stellar the cast was, I want to see them like do as much of a facsimile of like a courtroom setting as they can. Like I want to see like a protracted legal battle, I think Mitch, you and I talked about it. We're like, maybe Jennifer has to like represent Titania. Or something like that. That like you could just make a whole season of that. I'd watch the shit out of that. With
they got to give Titania some kind of plot, right? No. Season 2. Let's give her some story and character, please.
Yeah. You could expand on her that way and give them some more courtrooming to do because I really like that. I think the first episode like really whet my appetite because so much of it was centered on Jennifer rehearsing her closing arguments that even though the rest of the show kind of goes out and does its own thing from that point on, it did very much pull me in with the legal drama element, like potential legal, not even legal drama, but the potential like legal narrative. And that really excited me. And I would like to see that expanded upon in the inevitable follow-up. So that's 3. Let's see, this one's hard because I know what my number 1 is. It's that one's not hard to guess for anybody watching. Okay, I'll talk Spider-Man while I think of what number 2 would be. Because I was playing Fortnite with some other, our usual Star Wars friends who you all see on this channel from time to time. And Michael McCoy from All Remaining Systems brought up something really funny to me. And he was talking about like, I can't believe to this day, 1 year later, almost to the day, 1 year later, that Spider-Man No Way Home is a real fucking movie.
No. I can't believe it's been a year.
Yeah.
Where the hell did that go, for starters? But how did that movie even work? Is another one.
Lots of TV shows and movies. That's how. But yeah, like, and it's crazy. And the only thing I wish were different about No Way Home, and it's nothing about the movie, it's about the discourse. I really, really wish we could
that
go
Twitter
back
didn't exist. I agree.
And Elon's working on that. I really wish we could like experience a timeline where we didn't know everything,
Yeah.
whether you wanted to or not. Like, I know there's some people who love leaks, love scoops, love to know shit before it happens. And then there's people who are like, oh, that's in the news, neat. And then there are people who like will just let it, who just want to see a goddamn movie without knowing anything. And, you know, the speculation dominated so much of the conversation. You know, like, and I think that the comic book movie content sphere is chasing the high of Avengers Endgame.
Yeah.
I
No,
think
you're
that
right.
I think that
Yeah.
this sphere of reporting and journalism is forever, or like internet, like pseudo journalism in many ways. But like the discussions are going to, for a very long time, chase the high of speculation. And the only close substitute for speculating endlessly is to mine as far as you can for information. And a lot of loose lips, both working at Sony and Marvel, and Jamie fucking Foxx, who got that ball rolling,
Yeah, you did.
you know, permanently made it so that we were all going to like become incredibly aware of what was in Spider-Man before we got to see it. And I think that's really unfortunate because like I can only imagine somebody who watched all the movies but didn't keep up with the discourse walking into that theater and getting to lose their shit, having no
That's the
idea.
backflip guy, right? Right.
Yeah. Here's an early drop
he's
for
the one.
DeAndre.
Like he's the
Iconic.
one guy that managed to avoid literally everything for like 3 years. That's what happens when you find out.
There is okay, I'm gonna do my best for this to be like the last thing I say about soups in this episode. There is a spectrum. You know what? I'm gonna bring back an old favorite phrase of Travis and mine. Inside everyone, there are two bears. One of those bears is that guy who was so legitimately excited that he audio listeners, I think Travis just walked out of the room.
I saw it. You said two bears, and I just saw his face drop, and it's like, oh, he's gone. He's gonna go. Bye, Travis.
New Mutant streaming.
How
now on
could
Disney
you?
Plus.
It is
Still
on
haven't seen
there.
that movie. I'm going straight.
You don't need to.
I will, because we have to do the commentary at some point, but I don't know quite how to do
All you need
It's
to
like-
know is inside of us are two bears.
There,
Oh.
inside of us are two bears. One of those bears is Soups having a whole fucking camera crew in the room for when he saw Black Adam,
Oh, imagine being
knowing
that guy.
full well there who was in the post-credit scene, like the entire internet did, and standing up and going ah, and like being the only person losing their shit in the movie theater. And then there is a room full of people expressing nothing but sheer joy and exuberance, and one man who cannot contain it in his body and must then go vertical to make it to express that joy. Inside us are two bears. One is a hype chaser. The other one that's true joy when you do backflips in the movie theater.
I vividly remember, like, as the movie progressed, because I was in a full theater opening, like first showing I
Same.
could get into opening night,
Mm.
Same.
and I remember the whole room, like, we all at once realized, wait, we're in a full theater watching a Spider-Man movie where all these Spider-Men are showing up. We can and should cheer. This is okay. We can do this again.
Yeah. And it's exciting when you get to do that. And I hate this stigma that is attached to that. You know, like there are certain environments where that is, and like, you know, it's like that old adage, you know, like, I don't know, I can't define pornography, but I can tell you when I see it. You know, I don't know the right setting where you're allowed to, in the movie theater.
Opening night.
But I can tell you
opening night. That's it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. Like, there are certain movies where, like, you know, like Avengers Endgame. You know, I remember feeling like I was in the middle of a stadium for most of Endgame, or especially like the back half hour. You know, where like I spent, and I said this before, I spent from Avengers Assemble up to Thanos catching the fade from Scarlet Witch, crying, just weeping and cheering, like the music swelled, like and you get that like huge crane shot of all the Avengers, and I'm like getting overwhelmed, and then Cap finally says it, and the whole theater freaks out. Like, I can't tell you when that is, but I know when it is. And I love that theater experience. I think there's something magical about it. And it shows like the beauty of how much we love these characters, you know, and for different reasons that people love these characters. And another thing that I think is really important to bring up, that this, you know, at the peak of the, you know, the MCU multiverse fuckery, first of all, there hasn't been much like multiversal nostalgia bait. We really only have two
Spider-Man.
stories that have it central to what they're built to do, between No Way Home and Multiverse of Madness. And I love that it is not just blind nostalgia bullshit. You know, Tobey Maguire did not walk through a portal, go, it's pizza time, do a little dance, and then swing away. Every single one of these has like an emotional weight to them and like pushes the story forward. And it makes me happy that there's a recognition of like two routes really that have been taken with a lot of like the multiversal. And you know what? Now that I think about it, I think Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, this is my number 2. I think it's my top 5 for this. Or my number 2 to be mentioned, I should say. Like, none of those are in any particular order. Spider-Man is always going to take the top spot for me because it's fucking Spider-Man. I can't physically not give Spider-Man the top props. But just talking about the multiversal stuff, you know, I think there have been 2 flavors of multiverse quote unquote fan service. There has been a story driven, character driven idea. So Toby and Andrew coming back, right? I think those are great examples, because Toby, even though he only gets a little bit of time with Tom's Spider-Man, with, you know, Peter 1 and Peter 2, that Peter 2 really has this like mentor very briefly, but he takes that mentor role for a moment, you know, and he really helps to drive home what it means to be Spider-Man. And as much as we like to talk about how cool it is that those other 2 Spideys showed up, I don't think we often talk about like what they represent to Peter 1. You know, I don't think we often explore that like Peter 2 is this like almost, you know, Campbellian like mentor archetype, like your Obi-Wan or your Gandalf, right? That he gets some of that, like, you know, you can grow up and you can remain hopeful. And he also sees where you can go wrong. and hears firsthand about that anger and that bitterness that has dominated Peter 3's life since Gwen was killed by the Green Goblin. We like that's important for him, and we also get to see like the narrative loop close for Peter 2 and Peter 3. We see Peter 3 have that iconic redemption moment where he saves MJ the way he couldn't save Gwen. And you see that he's like figured out the exact way he could have done it in the way that he saves her. And you hear Peter 2 talking about like, oh, I figured it out with my MJ. Like you get closure on their stories, but you also see how it is, diverging paths for Peter. In many ways, inside of all of us, there are two spiders.
That one was just
sensational.
But no, anyway, I wish we could have known what No Way Home would have been like if we didn't know everything. And I almost wish that there was a way for the marketing to have worked around the fact that of not showing us the villains. Because by showing us the villains, it was almost a guarantee of the Spider-Man, right?
Yeah.
I wish there were a way to dance around it, or almost try to tee the movie up as only being Peter versus Strange. You would have been
tried
lying.
in that first teaser, didn't they? That first teaser is literally just him and Doctor Strange, and then the end it's that hey Peter, and it's like, oh, they ruined it.
Yeah,
do it at the end.
At the very end, it's like Doc Ock, and you get the pumpkin bomb and in there. But either way, and then I think the other route with the multiversal character appearances is you get opportunities to play around, right? I think the only time the multiverse has been used for blind nostalgia bait was Patrick Stewart's Xavier being in Multiverse of Madness for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
I think that's it. Other than that, you could
argue WandaVision. Not really multiverse, but the whole Evan Peters thing, that was very intentional on their end.
Well, you're right, but I think that was also meant to play around with. I get why people didn't like it, and I get why you would say that. I think part of that is meant to be a really meta fourth wall break.
Oh yeah, it definitely is, but there's absolutely an element of people are gonna they knew what they were doing with it.
They knew what they were doing.
The story, but they knew exactly the conversation was gonna come out.
They knew what they were doing. I think it can make an argument that the multiverse picked somebody who looked like that, because they get all kinds of weird heady bullshit. But it also adds to the trust and nothing, do not trust what your eyes are showing you type element, because we're showing you a Quicksilver. Don't believe
it's definitely more in service to the show itself, but it's absolutely that.
Yeah, and again,
a little shark under the water.
Ralph Boner, whatever aside, I don't think I like the decision to continue to fuck with the audience in the same way that the people of Westview are having their minds fucked as well. But having Lashana Lynch be that universe's Captain Marvel, you're having a lot of fun playing with it, Okay, you people want Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic. Okay, we'll give you Krasinski Fantastic for a little bit here. I think it's a really cool playtime decision that at no point feels like it's just for fan service or just to get a crowd pop in the movie theater. I really appreciate a lot of those decisions, and that I think a lesser team of writers would have really bungled that. But yeah, I think those are my favorites. And I think that, Mitch, you alluded to this earlier, how a lot of Phase 4 is super depressing. And the conversation that has dominated Phase 4, I think, has been one that's really silly. That these movies aren't as connected, that there isn't a plan, that there isn't all these things.
Which is still going on despite Feige actually being out here and being like, Secret Wars.
Yeah.
You get it? Come on now. It's right there. Because it wasn't obvious from the beginning. But...
Well, and I think you can separate this into like two sections. I think you can talk about like story cohesion and like a thematic cohesion as like two separate things. Because like the cohesion in terms of story is obvious. The multiverse, like the Avengers broke the time travel dam, and now the multiverse is going to come unfurling.
They messed around with time, and now time messes back.
Exactly. And now that that's happening, different threads are being pulled at different times. There's a little bit of cosmic bullshit in just about every single one of these stories, except for She-Hulk. She-Hulk is the only one that doesn't have like a little bit of cosmic bullshit. And even though
Scar's right there, I count him as cosmic bullshit.
Okay, sure. Then all of
with
them.
That hairline as well. That whoever gave him that hairline is cosmic bullshit.
He chose that hairline. I mean, that does not occur in nature.
I mean, maybe one of Gore's wishes for eternity was a really bad hairline for Hulk's kid. Who knows?
Well, and thank you for bringing up Love and Thunder, because that's an honorable mention for me. And I don't get the hate that movie gets. I truly don't. I think it is
because it's just Ragnarok again, but people don't like it this time around apparently.
I wouldn't even say it's just Ragnarok again. I think there's certain elements that are from Ragnarok that are like cranked up a little bit, and maybe a little bit too high for some people. But I think Love and Thunder like is the perfect encapsulation of Phase 4. I think it is a complex story about complicated real people grieving, processing trauma, and learning to move on. And that is the thematic through line of every single one of these stories.
Yeah.
To one extent or another, like even, and again, and I think She-Hulk is this like really nuanced take on it, where like Jennifer is just like trying to learn what her life is now. I love that. I love that so much of that story is her like learning about how she will choose to define herself. I think it's incredibly beautiful and poignant. It's like I think She-Hulk serves a similar function to the MCU as to what the Book of Boba Fett did for Boba Fett. Where like that whole story is based around, a journey of redefinition and redefining oneself through your own experience, but also through like the tribe you build with the people around you. We see that with Jennifer and her lawyer and legal friends, but also like starting to make inroads with the super community as well. With that one Taylor, with Daredevil, with obviously through her cousin, there's a lot of that. And I think that's super beautiful. And, I think Moon Knight is incredibly raw and visceral.
I was just thinking about Moon Knight, because I think that's probably the most, for lack of a better word, disjointed one from everything else. It's so self-contained.
Bit. Yeah.
It's barely even a reference to anything. And it's just like, what is Moon Knight's, not purpose, because I know where he's going with it, but like, what's the through line for Moon Knight and everything?
Yeah. Well, but I love that. I love that there is just this little pocket of like fuckery going on, and the same way that like, even though it's like huge in scale and cosmic bullshit, Eternals is the same thing. It really is a super self-contained story that like is just kind of doing its own thing, which again is like teeing up different elements of like the weird supernatural side of Marvel, because the through line between Eternals to Moon Knight is, Moon Knight and Blade kind of run in the same circles. And so I think that's just that fun element. That's what I was talking about earlier. Like, it feels like comic books more so than ever. that like not every issue of every book is leading to like a big story beat. Sometimes it's just individual people's stories, people living their lives, and eventually that life will intersect with other heroes doing other heroic nonsense.
Which is the irony, right? You got the comic readers that hate events because they take over everything, and now you got people that just want the events for the movies.
Yeah.
Well, like, and it's just the juxtaposition of where we were versus where we are now, right? Because like in phase 3, we all knew where everything was going at that point.
Yeah.
Like it had been decided. Like we're moving towards the like literally the end game of fighting Thanos, and every in some way had to set up a portion of that, usually in an end credit scene, but then like the movie itself would be semi-self-contained. And they were spaced out enough that phase 3 took 3 years, right? 2015 to 2018.
Yeah.
So 3 years of movies.
And we knew what the ending was before Age of Ultron came out.
So they took the time and they were setting up to one thing, and every movie had a chance to incrementally add to that one thing until it was time to finish the thing. Then we moved to every month is a new piece of content without a clear end goal, which is what people are used to. So we're getting stuff even faster than before with no clear addition to the overarching plot, even though that shouldn't matter because it didn't matter in phase 1 and part of phase 2,
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I think there's also, Travis, you and I both saw that one really clever TikTok it was like months ago where the person was talking about like there's a lot of revisionist history about the MCU that like everything we all
around long enough now for that to happen.
Yeah, exactly. So like we didn't.
Well, and you can see that in phase 4, right? Because clearly they've had a general idea since they started phase 4. Like the idea has been to work towards Secret Invasion, but also when they sat in the room and were like, I think this is our next play, no one in that room went, oh, and right before we start it, there's going to be a global pandemic. So suddenly their general idea without a lot of structure became barely a concept for a year. And they had to make sure that what they had to work with would be able to fit within that concept.
Yeah. And and we were talking about like the thematic cohesion of like everybody is living in the wake of phase 1 through 3 through the Infinity Saga and everything they've lost up to that point. And again, like learning to redefine themselves and come out the other end, still a functioning, loving, caring human being. And I think in a very meta way, I think it's beautiful that this phase got to end on Wakanda Forever.
Well, the holiday special, but I'll let that slide.
Okay, I will say, in my defense, I haven't watched the holiday special yet.
Oh, Jarod.
I've been saving it for whenever I can like really sit down and get cozy and comfy and watch it. I didn't want to.
It's so good.
I've heard it's great. I'm very excited to watch it. I've been in a Guardians.
It's like what Volume 2 should have been.
You're in a safe place to say shit like that.
Volume 2 is bad, and I will always stand by that. I need to get that out there.
So I wouldn't say Volume 2 is bad. We said this.
Okay. It's how am I going to split this? It's 1/3 a really damn good movie. It's 2/3 Scooby-Doo shit, and I didn't like it.
That's really funny because I go kind of in a different direction. I say the first half is borderline unwatchable for me, but from the moment of the prison break and onward, it's one of the best movies in the MCU.
No, I can't agree with that.
Oh, fascinating. But anyway, but like ending, like, and I want to say that the Guardians holiday special doesn't count. It counts, but I mean like on the
Wakanda Forever is the ending of Phase 4. Like, it's just more.
Yeah.
the holiday special is still counted as Phase 4, and they never counted it as Phase 5. It's just,
Yeah. So
but
like
they said Wakanda Forever is the ending, so it's whatever.
ending on a movie that was like designed to be a real world tribute to someone we actually lost. Like, I think was the perfect, like it's an amazing thematic decision, and I think it makes Wakanda Forever like stand out as an even more poignant piece of art.
Yeah,
You know,
it's unfortunate that it's in that position, but
well, in some
in a
ways, I
sick,
think
twisted
like
way, it works in its favor.
exactly it works in its favor, and again, like it's just happenstance, but like I think it's beautiful. Maybe it's intentional, maybe it's not, but I think it's beautiful that so much of Phase 4 has like primed the audience to sit down and be, and I mean, not everybody has, obviously, that's why like all the discourse has been a nightmare, but has primed the audience that's willing to pay attention at least to sit down and be ready to reflect and be open and vulnerable with these movies, with these stories. And I think Wakanda Forever was like the perfect way to end this journey and end this exploration. But yeah, before we segue into what we're looking forward to most from Phase 5, do you have any other thoughts about like Phase 4 proper?
I'm curious what the through line with all the afterlife stuff is going to be, because we've had multiple projects set up different afterlives.
We have, yeah,
and that's clearly building to something. And I am curious what, because we've got Thor Ragnarok did one, Moon Knight did one. We were already playing around with it in Black Panther, but we really got it in Wakanda Forever.
The best scene in Wakanda Forever, some might say.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with you.
It's a hard one,
but like we're clearly building to some kind of, as we get more deep into how the multiverse works, because I feel like the multiverse still has that MCU feel of its ground. Like, obviously it's fantastical, but it's grounded in a way. Like, there are set rules to how it works. Versus, I think whatever they choose to do with this afterlife overarching plot will maybe be our first real foray into, there are no rules to this. It works how it works. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it feels like a not so subtle way of being that, hey, if someone dies, we can get them back. Just look at Jane.
Yeah.
Like, we know Jane's not gone forever in that situation being Thor, so we can bring him back maybe as a recast, but maybe that's the cynical part of me looking into that. But that's kind of
but like, honestly, that could be what it is. It's just like we're establishing comic book bullshit because it's a comic book universe, right? We need comic book bullshit that we can pull from, and we can't always rely on things having rigid rules to work with. So we need something.
I think you're right. I do think you're on the precipice of something there, and it's just exciting seeing like the most fantastical, silly elements of comic book media being embraced here on like the biggest stage there is for movies right now. Travis, you kind of gave your thoughts on this on the TNF that came out earlier this week. So I'll let you reiterate Phase 5 excitements for you.
I don't remember what I said.
What's even coming out in Phase 5?
Yeah.
Secret Invasion. Secret Invasion. Secret Invasion, Armor Wars, Ironheart, man. I want my armor stuff back. I love...
Oh, please.
I don't care what anyone says. Iron Man 2 is the best MCU movie. It is. And
that's while I adore Iron Man 2, and I always have, and I butted heads with people about that movie many a time. I can't fault anyone for saying it's the best.
I got Stockholmed into loving it because it's just always on cable TV, and so anytime I'm flipping through channels somewhere where I'm like, I just gonna put something on in the background, like, oh, what's on TNT? Iron Man 2? Cool.
TNT's got an agenda. I like it.
TNT also shows a lot of Star Wars, so I'm also TNT pilled.
That's true. But
so
I'm
real quick,
for all the armor.
Just so we're all on the same page, movies for Phase 5. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, The Marvels, Captain America: New World Order, Thunderbolts, and Blade.
Wait, hold on. Didn't they push back Armor Wars to Phase 6?
Yeah. They're redeveloping it into a movie.
Yeah, it's a movie now, isn't it? Yeah. Not to purposely burst that bubble there, but it's their own fault.
Still get Ironheart though, so I'll take that. And then, like I said, so I remember when Secret Invasion got announced, and we were like, "Oh, it's going to be like The Office for Sword, starring Sam Jackson and Ben Mendelsohn. It's going to be hilarious. That's going to be awesome." And then the trailer came out, and it's this super serious, like, espionage drama, and we were like, "Wait a minute, that's way better. Why didn't we think of that? That's so much better."
I was going to say, and for TV, we have What If Season 2, Secret Invasion, Loki, Ironheart, Echo, Agatha Coven of Chaos, and one moment, Daredevil Born Again.
Oh.
Yeah, I think I'm excited for Daredevil based on the Daredevil we got in She-Hulk.
Yeah.
Same.
Because like I love, I think we all love the old TV show, but there's something about the humanistic, joking and smiling part of Daredevil that we finally get with Charlie.
He actually found his emotions during the blip. That is quite nice.
Exactly. It's one of those, like, I can't remember what show I said this on, if it was here or it was on CBC, but like, I think Daredevil is about to have a similar, like, weird renaissance that Batman had this year too.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, we have beaten this one element of his character to fucking death. So now we're actually going to explore them as a fully, like, developed person, like they are in the source material. Yes, Batman is dark, edgy, brooding, violent, brutal, vengeance. He's also a symbol of hope for Gotham. He's also something to aspire to. And I'm really happy we finally get to see that with Daredevil. Where, yes, he's complicated and he's brooding and there's all this isolation and longing and Catholic guilt.
The one thing Matt Murdock is not is isolated. That man's fucking 24/7. Let's be honest here.
But that's what I'm saying. Like they're leaning into, like, his own, like, personal, like, feeling of isolation. Like in the show a lot, how he feels like he's doing this all by himself and won't let his, network of people in. But like, and yes, he is all of those things and he does grapple with that. But he's also a super charming, personable slut. Like he is this like Matt Murdock.
But that wouldn't make him a good Catholic.
What do you mean, Daredevil whores again? What are you talking about?
That's the funniest tweet I.
God, Mitch, I want that on a shirt.
That's good.
I don't know how it's never been said until now. But...
Oh, I'm tweeting that right now. Don't worry. I'm.
The funniest
I
tweet
better
I
be
saw,
tagged in that.
You are.
After that his episode of She-Hulk aired, someone, people were memeing on them horrendously, but it was like, people, like, he's supposed to be a good Catholic. He would never do the walk of shame. And it's like,
so that's a stride of pride, my friend. That's not a walk of shame. Goddamn. Have some respect.
First of all. Second of all, you don't know Daredevil, do you?
No,
he takes that walk a lot.
Oh, he does. It amazes me how people just talk without actually actually knowing anything. But that's always been comics, I guess.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And like again, like the way that some of the like most depressing men on the internet glom onto Daredevil and Spider-Man, not realizing there are no two men in comic books who get more ass than those two. Like Peter and Matt, I'm pretty sure have nailed their way through the entire super community. At least the part of the super community that they're attracted to.
This is an episode we need to do research for.
Funny enough, I haven't watched it, but I know it exists. Comic Drake. This is what. Listen,
Someone
this
did
is
it.
why I'm the. This is why I do this stuff, because I'm just a repository for bullshit. Comic Drake, I think, did a video on like who the biggest hoes in the Marvel universe are, and
I want it as a percentage. I want like
like
what
I think
percentage
it's a
of
good
named
87.5.
the ass per
good.
capita attributed to Jennifer Walters, Matt Murdock, and Peter Parker.
Like what percentage of the named characters in the Marvel universe has Daredevil slept with?
I'm sticking with 87.5.
Hold on.
The rest are aliens.
The rest are aliens. I think not having seen that video, but just knowing like who the Marvel hoe goats are, and also we just need to emphasize this: we say hoe as a very loving term. That is sexual liberation right there, my friend. That is not meant as a pejorative. I say that before I call Jennifer Walters a hoe, and I want to make that abundantly clear that I mean that as a badge of honor for her. Comic Drake. I know he has a video about like who all has begat whom. I know he did one for Spider-Man at least. I know it was like all of Spider-Man's whatever. Superhero relationships. Surely it's in here. These are so funny. We got all of Spider-Man's girlfriends, surprising Marvel hookups part 2.
A whole part 2. Wow.
Yeah, there's a part 1, obviously. All the people Hawkeye slept with, all the people Black Widow, Batman. Oh, I know. Okay, you know what, Travis? I may have been wrong. Hold on. Travis, we may have to be the one to do it.
Get percentages. Get hard numbers.
Travis, we might have to do it.
Consider it done. Hyperfixation powers activate.
Activate. Oh my goodness. But yeah. So Mitch, you're most anticipated for phase 5. You could take a couple from column A, a couple from column B with movies and shows.
I was just going between if there's anything close to what I'm thinking of right now. Not that I can remember the entire phase 5 slate because that thing is fluid as hell.
Yeah, I'll reiterate.
I think it's safe to assume that for me it's volume 3 of Guardians. I know it was like 10 minutes ago I just shut on volume 2, but the Guardians are like my favorite team in comics, like period. Like you got Iron Man as a solo character, Guardians as a team, and I remember 2012 being one of the few people actually who knew who they were. And then the travesty that volume 2 happened in there. But I know Gunn's grown as a person, as a director since then, and that trailer just hit me in a way I haven't been hit before. So that is that movie by far and large. If Armor Wars was in there still, it might have been a bit closer, but
that's valid. That's
it's
valid.
volume 3. They're my
For
booties and they're
me,
getting the suits.
I love all of these movies. I love it. Like, I'm really excited for every single one of these movies. I will say, just because, like, you know, criticism where criticism is due. I know there has been some people who are upset about the naming of Captain America 4. That that the term New World Order
Yeah.
has anti-Semitic origins. I as someone who is not affected by that specific flavor of bigotry that is very much on the rise right now. My opinion should not hold much water. But for what it's worth, I've always every time I hear that term, as even though it's born of so much bile and hatred, I also feel like it has taken on a life of its own beyond that. But I do think that criticism is very valid, especially considering Jewish representation for the MCU has not been
Especially Marvel
great.
as a whole. Like they're doing some weird things with their Jewish characters in comics, so it's not
Yeah, and especially
it's
considering
not great
the
optics.
Jewish origins. Like, I think that's
Yeah,
something that can
yeah.
always be brought up, and something that should be brought up more often. Is that, a lot of these characters were created by Jewish writers and artists, and in many ways reflect the Jewish American experience, and over time and over the course of these characters changing hands from creator to creator to creator to creator, bless you,
Mm.
a lot of stuff has kind of been lost in the shuffle. Travis, I know what you mean now. Bless you. When we were recording the other day and you said that me coughing muted was way funnier than the sound of me coughing. I see what you mean now. But, and again, I hate it. Me being a conspiracy junkie, I'm kind of really excited for what Captain America New World Order might be.
Especially when we know it's got the leader in it, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Like,
out of all
I'm
people,
very
like why is this
curious.
Hulk in here?
I'm very curious. I'm very excited to see Sam fully in the Captain America role for a whole story.
Mm.
I know there's been weird discourse about the whole, like, him earning the title thing. I've always kind of
Yeah, I didn't
interpreted.
understand that when Falcon and Winter Soldier came out. I don't understand it now. It's just like
Well,
he,
I mean, because if I'm not mistaken, the screenwriter or the director said something to that effect. And my take on what that was supposed to mean was, like, we saw him, like, accept the mantle in Falcon and the Winter Soldier,
yeah,
and now he's going to go on his first ride fully as Captain America, and it's that, like,
yeah.
okay, you have it now, like, make it count.
So I'd have said he accepts it in Endgame reluctantly, not reluctantly, kind of accepts the fact that he has to. This is a responsibility he has now. He can't just let this thing go
Yeah,
in the show. And now it's like, right, now I've accepted it. He's got, he's been Captain America, what, 5 minutes in that show? Like, he hasn't,
exactly. Like, this is his first
quote,
real
earned.
test as Cap.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is the first big thing he's doing as Cap. So he's the quote earning of the shield, I suppose. Not that he has to earn it because he's a black man or whatever, but he's, I suppose, earn it to himself, really.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. I think that's a great way to put it. He needs to earn it for himself. So I'm very excited for that. I'm super pumped for Guardians 3, which surprises me because, like, I've never been, like, super into Guardians, but that Guardians 3 trailer hit and I was like, ooh,
High
super into
evolutionary.
it.
Oh, I've wanted it for so long.
But
If I get
say
Z
this
to
about-
sustain as well, I tell you, I'm gonna.
I can
really
literally
tough.
say I am super excited and can't wait for it for every single one of these movies. I'm super pumped for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, mostly for Kang.
Yeah.
Guardians 3, that trailer just absolutely incensed me. I love Captain Marvel, so I'm super pumped for the Marvels. I already talked about Captain America. Thunderbolts is the latest addition to the list of shit I never thought we'd fucking see. Especially with the
That movie
rumblings
confuses me.
especially with the rumblings about Han Red Hulk Solo. And then
That's confirmed,
fucking
isn't it?
Blade, man. Fucking Blade. TV shows, Daredevil runs away with it. With Loki and Ironheart as a close second and third. But yeah, also, hot take. I'm pumped for What If season 2.
Yeah, it's a hot take. I'll leave it at that.
I think What If gets too much hate.
I would agree with that.
But yeah,
I don't remember anything of What If to actually counteract that. So yeah, sure, go with that.
But yeah, real quick, I want to do a quick, anybody watching or listening, it's the end of the year, so I am sappy by default. Very grateful for everybody who's been going on the journey with us. 2020 was staunchly Marvel-less and was weird to do a comic book movie news show for. Like, doing anything in 2020 was weird. 2021 was an absolute overload of content and work, for better or worse, and 2022 even more so, especially in this back half with me on the precipice of moving. And Travis is back at school. Travis's work schedule, my work schedule, personal stuff has made doing this thing we love to do a little more difficult than we prefer it to be. And we have had people who have been along for the ride, watching and listening along, and it's greatly appreciated. And I look forward to more for Phase 5. I look forward to more for 2023 and for the future at large, and to continue this lovely little partnership we have with our friends at the ComicBookCast, which, as I've said 1,000 times before, and will say yet again for the last time this year, is a dream come true for a younger Jarod. So,
younger Jarod was dumb.
Younger.
Say now.
You know what?
At least older Jared's learned his lesson now.
Exactly.
This motherfucker don't miss.
No, he's fucking good.
That motherfucker don't miss, man.
He's good.
In the heat of battle.
That was for Mitch. Because he's very right. Younger Jarod was dumb. Anyway, guys, programming notes. This weekend, I think this will be coming out. I think I'm going to schedule this to release on Thursday the 15th. So tomorrow at time of record. Sunday, barring acts of God, we will finally have our Andor Season 1 conversation released. We haven't had time to record it. We will be joined by a dear friend of the show, Mr. Alden Diaz. So very excited for that talk. And then that'll be it for a minute while I get moved and situated and get a Studio 2.0 set up. So stay tuned.
I'll say I missed the studio. I missed the background.
I do too. A lot. I hate the green screen so much. I feel so claustrophobic all the time. Because to give an indicator of the setup right now, there is a TV table right here that has the monitor on it, camera, table with the soundboarding computer, ring light, chair, green screen, and then there's a sectional couch right here. So I'm just like this. I'm recording anymore, and I just want a long, wide space that I can throw my hands around and not worry about knocking down the facade behind me. I'm just surrounded by
10 ton of boxes right now. It's the worst.
Yeah. Plus, I'm looking, and I also have my two best friends behind me. I got Cookie Cop right there, and I got Loki Grogu over there.
I like how you say behind you, then point in front.
No, I said I don't have my friends behind me anymore.
Oh, I thought sick brain frog. Yeah.
No, it's okay. Yeah, because normally I have Cookie Cop burning a hole in the back of my head, slowly sucking my soul out, with Loki Grogu just kind of snuggling up to him. But yeah. Anyway, thank you guys so much. It's been a great year, 2022, and Phase 4. Thank you all so very much. And with that, Mitch, where can the lovely people find you, good sir?
You can find me on ComicBookCast YouTube channel. We've been really sporadic with the show recently because I'm having work done in the house. He's got some stuff going on. It's a whole thing. So we haven't. I think we still manage the show every week, but I'm not even entirely sure what's happened at the minute, to be honest. But that'll happen, which has meant there is no Andor season spoiler talk from me. I have finished it. I can't be asked to actually record it because I don't want to talk about it. And B, it's just the wrong time of year. So that was my exact reaction when that show finished. I was like, oh.
Maybe I'll walk out of here tomorrow and you never see me again. That's really what I want to do.
That actually killed me. God damn. Yeah. Socials. I think my link tree's Mitch692. There's all stuff on there.
Yeah.
You can.
But if you're watching the video version, type in what Mitch has written in there.
Yeah, 692 tweets on Twitter and 692 pics on Instagram. They're the main ones.
Alrighty. Travis, my dear Travis, for one last time in the year of 2022, where can the lovely people find you, sir? I mean, maybe the last time. Who knows? Some wild fucking news might break, and we're like, we got to record something Monday afternoon.
Batman is in the MCU.
Which Batman?
Yes.
Keaton,
I mean,
Affleck, Pattinson.
Technically, Christian Bale.
I forgot Bale. Wow. God damn.
You know, it's really funny. I'm interrupting for a moment. Local news for Travis and I, WPXI, posted a story on Facebook where it was like something about like John Fetterman, our newly elected Senate representative, and his wife
in a movie
have
with
like a
Christian Bale.
Have a cameo in some movie with Christian Bale that's going to be on Netflix, and I knew the comments were going to be a fucking cesspool, right? And Fetterman's like Bernie adjacent. For any of you who you don't know whom he is, progressive left.
We
party for,
we voted
for
for
America.
him, and that gives you an idea.
Travis and I voted for John Fetterman. That's a good way of eliminating words there. So I go into the comments, and the first thing I see is some fucking idiot who like comments on the effect of, "I guess they're bringing back the Batman versus the Joker again." ... And I couldn't help myself. And I was like, yes, blockbuster smash hit, the Batman versus the Joker. And was it the right thing to pick a fight about? No. Should I have? No. Did I laugh really hard while I was typing that out? Yeah. Anyway, as you were saying, buddy.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Travis Political. I don't think I'll be on for our Andor talk. I would assume not, just because I have work and a couple of last minute finals things. Andor's the best Star Wars.
Oh no.
I'm gonna lock that in. I might just like one way out a lot. But Andor's the best Star Wars. Carry on.
Sensational.
Okay, so I will say Andor is not my favorite, but I don't.
I
think
think
that's
I like Obi-Wan
surprising.
more. I think Andor's better.
Here's
I
my
would say
thing.
Andor has the guy with the bell, the anvil, and that's a plus. I guess.
The time grappler.
Is that what the fuck?
Yeah.
That's actually the name of him.
Google it right now.
There's no fucking way
that's a D-list like DC person.
Time grappler.
I was gonna say, like, you're in the wrong franchise there, my friend. That is not Star Wars now.
No, I'm right. Travis is making a joke.
Wow.
Yeah. See, I
slightly take it back. No, they lose a point for that name. No, they haven't even got him anymore. I'm taking it away. That sounds like some Kang sidekick bull crap. No.
But because Jonathan Majors has such a buttery fucking voice, he could be like time grappler, and it would work.
Well, it would absolutely work. But that's not a
but and obviously we'll get into this more with the episode that'll be coming out this weekend. I love Andor. I think it's great. I love having such a like the first not the first, but like a super explicitly like anti-fascist, anti-government piece of Star Wars media. I don't like a lot of the discourse around it. I think there's a lot of people who have used Andor's hyper explicit politics as a way to like pat themselves on the back for being smart. So like in the same way that like the Dude Bros made it hard for me to really love The Mandalorian at first, the most pretentious Star Wars fans are making it hard for me to enjoy Andor as much as I do. But because of like what I love about Star Wars, a story that is entirely devoid of the Force, like in a narrative sense, like, and again, like I could probably talk for hours about the role of the Force within Andor, like even though it isn't present. And even then, like there's all these Jedi artifacts and like the Kyber crystal Luthen gives Cassian, like the Force is present. It's just not like about the Force. Pardon me. And I just realized the way the print on my shirt stops on my sleeve, it looks like Spider-Man's taking a shit. Anyway, I really love Andor, but because of like it being devoid of like those like Force, like the mystical destiny driven type things, it's lacking that for me, and that's what I want in my Star Wars more than anything. Not necessarily like there's no lightsabers, I don't like it. But like the mysticism of the Force is what's missing for me. And that's not the show's fault. It did that on purpose. It's just a feature I'm not super into. But love and respect it for, and love the boldness of it. We'll get more into that.
There's a difference between saying I prefer this in my Star Wars, so this wasn't made for me, versus this is bad because it doesn't have it.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Precisely.
Yeah. Yeah, and like on one hand, I agree. I also, I love me a big light stick fight. Man, One Way Out. One Way Out got me. I have dreams of storming off the Dinos to get wings one day.
Travis is going to be the Kino Loy of Walmart.
I've been this close. On some days, I missed the day where it could have happened. I could have gotten them. There was a day our conveyor broke, like full on broke. They had to pull out. I wasn't there. I missed my opportunity.
Jake is in the bathroom, just like hammering away at a fucking pipe.
He's time grappling, is what you're saying? No.
Yeah, it's time grappling. Yeah, like because I came in the next day and I was like, "So, did you guys get a Dinos?" And they were like, "No, we pulled out the old manual and we did it this way." And I'm like, "You missed a golden opportunity."
Someone's gonna come up to Travis after a really bad day at work. Just, how many supervisors are on the floor today? Never more than 12. But anyway, very excited to talk about Andor. I think it's great, and I think it'll be a good conversation to end on. And I don't know if we have time, we might do like a Star Wars in 2022 retrospective too. I don't know if we'll have time to do that. It's also not as easily sorted as Marvel is for the most part. But so it goes. You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at DarkJedi2552, and you can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on our website, www.thenerdacademypodcast.com, where if you're feeling generous, you can donate to our Patreon.
Give me $1.
Speaking of our patrons, thank you to our $10 alumnus. We got the kid, Nick Johnson. We got Keandre Lloyd. And we got Paco, or as the boys being called in Patreon right now, $1.5 million, baby.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. From the front lines of the information war, it's Alex Jones.
I just want you to know all these videos have invaded my everyday life, by the way.
What was that?
Playing Pokemon Scarlet, like there's a little like random spawning mon that you can pick up that's all about money. And every time I find one, all I hear is that give me $1. And I don't know if I appreciate it or not.
Looks at
Give me $1.
Yeah. Literally every time I see it, I'm just like, oh, I can't
Mitch,
get away from it.
did you hear the very fun story about a recent development with Give Me a Dollar guy?
I think I did.
He showed up at Spencer's work.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah, completely by chance because the Pittsburgh Renaissance Festival was in town, and he went up to the museum that Spencer works at, and he was like getting them all food and stuff, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we work at the Renaissance Fair," and the one was like, "Yeah, like I'm a fire breather," and "Oh yeah, I do like princess shit," and he's like, "Oh cool," he's like, "What do you do?" He's like, "Oh, I play like a hobo," and I go, "Give me $1," and Spencer went, "You what?" And he's like, "You're not gonna believe this, but," and then like pulled up a recent episode and like went, "Look, it's you. Click, give me $1." So it was very funny. So Give Me a Dollar guy knows, and it's funny because when I saw him at the Renaissance Festival, like we walked past him, I laughed. I was like, "This is a really funny bit." And then my girlfriend was like, "You need to go back there. You need to get a video for him because it'd be a great bumper for your Patreon." And I was like, "Fuck, you're right." So I went back, I gave him $1, and I asked him to say it. And then months later, I wish I could find it. I found this really funny video because like he just does Renaissance festivals. Like he's a performer at like a bunch of them, like on the East Coast, I guess. And he was at a Renaissance festival where like he went on this like super fucking bread pilled fucking speech to somebody. Like he was just sitting on the ground. It was like talking about the muddied class and shit. Like it was phenomenal. Anyway, Give Me a Dollar guy. He's a real one. I got to get back. I want to go next time the Pittsburgh Renaissance Festival is in town. I'm going to go up there with a shit ton of T-Nat merch and just give it to him.
Say, like, make sure try and get him to say like, "Give me $5," and then you have it for each tier on Patreon.
That's great. Be an alumnus.
At each tier video, he's wearing more merch.
That's great.
He just becomes the channel at the
$10 tier, he's actually Cookie Cop. But yeah. Anyway, thank you guys so very much for watching and listening. We're honored that you have joined us. See you all in the near future and in 2023. Class dismissed.
Stop! Move away from the cookie jar!